Hi everyone, my name is Dat. Right now, I'm living alone in Hanoi. If you watched my previous video, you already know that life hasn't been easy lately. Some days, I don't have any work at all, so I decided to take a short trip back to my hometown, not just to get some rest, but also to see my family after being away for a while. In this video, I'd like to take you with me back to the place where I was born and where I grew up. It's a quiet countryside, simple, peaceful, but life here has never been easy. I also want to share why, even though life in Hanoi has been full of challenges, and there were moments when I almost gave up, I still chose to stay, because I believe that somewhere in this city, there is still an opportunity waiting for me. So come with me, let's visit my hometown together. And let me tell you the story of where I came from and why I'm still chasing a better future. My hometown is about 70 kilometers from Hanoi. Today, I'm taking a coach back home. This is one of the most common ways to travel between cities and provinces in Vietnam. A one-way ticket from Hanoi to my hometown in Ninh Binh costs about $3.50. For many people, that's a very small amount of money. But for me, that single ticket is almost half of what I can earn in a day. That's one of the reasons why I haven't been back home for nearly 4 months. I've been unemployed, and every dollar matters. So I've been trying to save as much money as possible. Today is the middle of the work week, so that isn't very crowded. Most of the passengers are elderly people. They're traveling from their hometowns to Hanoi to visit the big hospitals for medical checkups. And among them, there's also someone like me, a 33-year-old man, without a job, just going back home for a little while. Summer in my hometown is incredibly harsh. During the day, the temperature usually stays between 38 and 40 degrees Celsius. The journey from Hanoi takes about 2.5 hours by coach. It's not a long trip, but in this heat, it always feels a little longer. I think I'll close my eyes and get some rest while we're on the road. I'll see you again when I finally arrive home. Well, after spending a little over 2 hours I'm finally home. It feels good to be back after such a long time away. Now, let me show you around and introduce you to the house where I was born and where I grew up. My family home is hidden deep inside a small alley in the countryside. The lane is so narrow that only motorbikes can get through. If you drive a car, you'll have to park outside and walk the rest of the way. The first thing you see is an old iron gate my father built about 15 years ago. It's worn with age, but it's still strong and reliable. In the front yard, my mother grows a loofah trellis. The vines provide shade during the hot summer and fresh vegetables for our family meals. During harvest season, when there are more loofahs than we can eat, she takes the extras to the local market to sell. It's a simple way of life, but one that has always felt like home. And this is my home. It was built more than 30 years ago, in the traditional style of rural Vietnam. After all these years, it hasn't changed very much. Every corner still holds memories of my childhood. Come with me, and let's take a quick look around my home. My home has only 2 rooms, a small living room and a bedroom in the back. This is the living room, where my family has spent countless evenings together over the years. Next to the table is a small bed. This is where I'll be sleeping. It used to be my father's bed. After he passed away, it became mine. I don't think I've properly introduced my family yet. There were 4 of us: my father, my mother, my older sister, and me. But everything changed when my father passed away when I was just 13 years old. I was still too young, so I don't remember much about him. What I do remember is that he was a kind man with a warm smile and a great sense of humor. Next is the small bedroom where my mother rests. It's a very small space, just enough for a bed and a wardrobe. There's only enough room for one person to walk through. For more than 30 years, this room has barely changed. To most people, it may seem ordinary, but to me, this little room is filled with childhood memories where my sister and I grew up beside our mother. Behind the house, you'll find our small bathroom and a tiny storage room. This large tank is where my family stores water for everyday use. In the countryside, many families still collect rainwater. We believe rainwater is clean and safe to use after it's stored. It also helps us get through the dry season when there's little or sometimes no rain at all. Next is our small storage shed. This is where my family keeps rice, harvested crops, and our farming tools. It's old and quite small. During the rainy season, the roof sometimes leaks, and everything inside can get wet. To be honest, we simply can't afford to repair it right now. A little farther back is our bathroom. My family built it about 15 years ago. After all these years, it's become old and slowly fallen into disrepair, but it still serves its purpose every single day. Behind the bathroom is our small outdoor toilet. Like the bathroom, it's old and has seen better days. I'm sorry if these images make you uncomfortable, but this is simply the home I grew up in. It may not be much, but it's everything my family has. Can you hear that sound? That's one of our hens celebrating after laying an egg. This is my mother's small garden. Instead of growing many vegetables, she uses the space to raise chickens. They provide us with fresh eggs and meat for our family meals. Even now, my mother still sends eggs from our hometown to Hanoi. It's her quiet way of helping me save a little money on food. Now, come with me to the local market. I'd love to show you what a traditional countryside market looks like in my hometown. Let's go. This is the traditional market in my hometown. My mother told me it's been here since long before she was born. Most of the stalls sell fresh vegetables, fruit, meat, and fish. Many of the vendors simply lay out their goods on tarps right beside the road. Almost everything here is grown or raised by the local people themselves. That's why it always feels incredibly fresh. This market has always been one of my favorite places. I love the sound of people chatting, laughing, and calling out to their customers, and seeing little children walking beside their mothers, excited to receive a small treat, reminds me of my own childhood. Those simple moments brought so much happiness. If you ever visit Vietnam, I hope you'll take the time to explore a traditional local market. It's one of the few places where you can still experience the everyday life and culture that have been passed down from one generation to the next. Even as the world keeps changing, places like this still hold on to the soul of rural Vietnam. Here, almost every payment is made with cash. No mobile banking, no QR codes, and no bank transfers. So, if you ever visit, don't forget to bring some cash with you. There is, however, one thing I don't like. Right in the middle of the market, there's a small garbage collection area. On hot days, the smell can be quite unpleasant, and I hope one day it will be improved. Today, I'm buying fish to make tomato braised carp. It's one of my favorite meals and a dish my family has loved for many years. I chose a carp weighing about 1.5 kilograms. It cost around $2.50. One thing I really enjoy about traditional markets in Vietnam is that you can choose your food and ask the seller to prepare it right in front of you. It's very different from buying prepackaged food at a supermarket. If you buy a fish, they'll clean it, remove the scales, and prepare it for cooking right away. I really appreciate that. It saves me a lot of time when I get home, and I can start cooking almost immediately.
Để nguyên rồi. Cắt bụng rồi, cắt bụng.
Now, let's cook this fish together. First, I give it one more rinse with clean water. Then, I rub it with a little salt before cutting it into 3 pieces. The fish isn't very big, but I never cook it whole. Cutting it into smaller pieces makes it easier to cook and easier to serve. It also helps us avoid wasting food. My family usually cooks only a few pieces for each meal. If there's any left, we simply save it for dinner instead of cooking more than we need. Next, it's time to prepare the vegetables and herbs. Today I'm using spring onions, tomatoes, and dill. Dill is a very popular herb in Vietnam, especially in fish dishes. It adds a fresh aroma and helps reduce the fishy smell. Some foreigners don't like its unique flavor, but for most Vietnamese people, including my family, a fish dish just isn't complete without dill. Now, I'll heat up a papan and lightly fry the fish pieces. You might be wondering what I just scooped into the pan. It's pork lard. Here in the countryside, many families still cook with pork lard instead of vegetable oil. Some people believe it's not the healthiest choice, especially if it's used too often. But for many of Ooze, it's simply a tradition. Some people prefer IE for its rich flavor. Others use ITE because it's more affordable. That's why my family still cooks with it today. I only fry the fish for a little while, just enough to get rid of the fishy smell. Then I take it out right away. If you fry it for too long, the fish will lose its natural flavor and it just won't taste as fresh anymore. Next, it's time to make the sauce. I start by melting some pork fat in a pot. Then I add a stalk of scallion and a few cloves of garlic. I let them cook until the fat becomes fragrant. After that, I add the tomatoes and let everything simmer for about 15 minutes until the tomatoes are soft and completely broken down. This dish is quite simple and easy to make. I often make it whenever I go back to my hometown. Once the tomatoes are soft, it's time to season the sauce. I add about 1 tablespoon of fish sauce, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of MSG, and a small teaspoon of salt. Then I pour in a splash of vinegar. It gives the sauce a little extra depth and helps reduce the fishy smell. Next, I pour in about a liter of water. Then I put the lid on and let the pot slowly come to a gentle boil. As the soup begins to simmer, the kitchen gradually fills with the sweet aroma of tomatoes, garlic, and scallions. It's a simple smell, but somehow it always makes the whole house feel a little warmer. After letting the broth boil for about 15 minutes, the tomatoes have softened completely, blending into a rich and flavorful soup. That's when I gently place the fish into the pot, making sure not to stir too much so it stays nice and intact. I let the fish cook for another 10 minutes over medium heat. There's no need to rush this part. Cooking it slowly allows the fish to absorb all the flavors from the broth while staying tender and juicy. Just before turning off the heat, I add a handful of chopped scallions and fresh cilantro. The fresh herbs instantly brighten the soup with their aroma, giving it one final layer of flavor. And lunch is ready. Today's meal is simple, just tomato braised fish, served with rice. It might seem a little too simple to some people, but for my family, it's more than enough. Today, there are 3 of us at the table, my mother, my nephew, and me. Ever since my older sister got married, most of our meals have been just my mother and me. It's the middle of July, and my nephew is on his summer break. So, my sister sent him here to spend some time with his grandmother. I think my mother is happiest when the house feels full again. A meal always tastes better when it's shared with the people you love. After my father passed away, my mother had to raise my older sister and me all by herself. She took any job she could find, carrying heavy loads, helping on construction sites, collecting trash, anything that could earn a little money to keep us fed and in school. When I was a child, I often felt ashamed of growing up without a father. There were jokes, hurtful words, and moments when I wished I had a dad like everyone else. But as I grew older, I realized those painful memories were nothing compared to everything my mother sacrificed for us. She wasn't just our mother. She became both our mother and our father. No matter how hard life became, she never allowed herself to give up. This is my hometown, a place that's quiet, peaceful, and will always be home to me. I was born here, and I grew up here, but sadly, I can't make a living here. Like many young people in rural Vietnam, most of us leave home to look for work in the big cities. That's why, if you visit villages like this today, you'll often see only grandparents and young children. The working generation has no choice but to leave. They leave home hoping to earn enough to support their families and build a better future for the children waiting back home. Right now, I'm unemployed, but I haven't told my mother. I know. She'd only worry about me. Tomorrow, I'll return to Hanoi and back to the fast pace of city life, leaving behind the peace and quiet of home. I hope I'll find a job soon, not only to support myself, but also to send a little money home, so my mother won't have to work so hard anymore. Thank you for watching my video. When I started this channel, I made one promise to myself
Sao à?
to share my life as honestly as I can. If my story means something to you, I'd really appreciate your support, whether it's a comment or simply a like. Thank you so much. Take care, and I hope to see you in the next video.